Have you ever watched your life fall apart in public because one person refused to stay silent? My wedding day was supposed to be perfect. The kind of day families brag about for years. The kind of event people record from every angle, smiling as if happiness were guaranteed simply because money had been spent. The hall was full. The music was soft and expensive. My dress fit perfectly. I remember standing at the entrance, bouquet in my hands, heart racing, not from love but from nerves. That's normal, I told myself. Everyone gets nervous before a wedding. My fiancé stood at the altar, calm and confident. The guests whispered approvingly. My parents looked relieved. Everything was moving exactly as planned. Except me. Something felt wrong. Not dramatic wrong, not obvious wrong, just heavy. I pushed the feeling aside. Weddings aren't the time for doubt, that's what people say. The ceremony had just begun when the doors at the back of the hall opened suddenly. People turned. At first there was confusion, then irritation, then silence. It was my driver, still in his uniform, breathless, sweating, standing there like someone who had run a long distance with something urgent on his chest. I remember thinking, why would he interrupt something like this? Before anyone could stop him, he spoke, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Madam, I'm sorry, but this wedding cannot continue." The room froze. My mother gasped. My fiancé frowned. The pastor paused mid-sentence. I felt my knees weaken. "What are you doing?" someone hissed. But my driver didn't look at them. He looked at me, with eyes full of fear and guilt. And in that moment, I understood something terrifying. This wasn't a mistake. This was a decision. Before we continue, kindly like, comment, share, and subscribe. It motivates me. Also tell me in the comments where you are watching from. The hall erupted in murmurs. People stood. Phones came out. Someone tried to escort him away. But before they could, he said one more thing. Something so unexpected that the word wedding stopped meaning anything at all. For a few seconds, no one moved. It was the kind of silence that feels louder than shouting. I could hear the soft hum of the air conditioner, the faint rustle of fabric, the sound of my own breathing, sharp and uneven. My fiancé was the first to react. "What nonsense is this?" he snapped, stepping forward. His voice was controlled, but his jaw was tight. "Get him out of here." Two men from the family moved toward my driver immediately. One grabbed his arm. "Sir, please," my driver said, pulling away gently. "I just need 1 minute." "Minute for what?" my mother cried. "Do you know what you are ruining?" People were already whispering. I saw phones raised discreetly. I knew this moment would never stay private. I should have screamed. I should have demanded answers, but I couldn't speak. Because something about the way my driver looked at me, not at the crowd, not at my fiancé, told me this wasn't about drama. It was about truth. "Madam," he said again, his voice shaking now. "I didn't plan to do this today, but I couldn't sleep last night. I couldn't carry it." "Carry what?" My fiancé turned to me. "Tell him to leave," he said quietly. "Now." I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time since our engagement, I noticed how his eyes didn't ask how I felt. They asked how fast we could make this disappear. "Let him talk," I heard myself say. The room erupted. "Are you mad?" my aunt hissed. "This is your wedding." My father stood up slowly, face unreadable. "Young man," he said to my driver, "whatever this is, you will explain yourself properly." My driver nodded, sweat rolling down his temple. "I drove Madame many times. I hear things. I see things." My fiancé laughed sharply. "So now drivers are witnesses?" That laugh cut deep, because it wasn't confident, it was defensive. My driver took a breath. "There is something about this marriage you don't know." My heart slammed against my ribs. I felt the weight of every eye in the room press against my back. Whatever he was about to say, it wasn't small. And once spoken, it could never be taken back. The driver's hands were shaking now. Not the shaking of a man enjoying attention, but the shaking of someone who had crossed a line he could never step back from. "I didn't come to embarrass anybody," he said. "I came because silence would make me a liar too." My fiancé scoffed. "You're already lying," he said, "and you are trespassing." But the driver didn't look at him. He looked at me. "Madam," he said quietly, "do you remember the night you asked me to wait outside the hotel in Ikeja?" My stomach dropped. I remembered. A business dinner, he had said. Late, important clients. "Yes," I replied slowly. The hall grew still again. "I waited," the driver continued. 3 hours. Then I saw him come out, not alone. A sharp intake of breath rippled through the crowd. My fiancé stepped forward. "Enough," he barked. "You are done." But my father raised a hand. "Let him finish," he said. The driver swallowed hard. "He came out with a woman," he said. "They were arguing. She was crying, and she said something I couldn't forget." He paused. "She said, 'You promised you would leave her after the wedding.'" The words hit me like a slap. I felt heat rush to my face, not from embarrassment, from clarity. My fiancé laughed again, louder this time. "This is nonsense. You are fabricating stories." But his voice cracked. The driver reached into his pocket slowly. "I knew nobody would believe me," he said, "so I didn't rely on memory." He pulled out his phone. I recorded. Gasps filled the hall. "No!" my fiancé shouted, but it was too late. The driver pressed play. Even before the words were clear, I recognized the voice. His voice. Calm, confident, promising a future that didn't include me. The hall erupted. My mother covered her mouth. My aunt sat down abruptly. Someone whispered my name like it was an apology. I felt strangely calm, like my body had already grieved before my mind caught up. My fiancé reached for me. "Listen," he said urgently. "This isn't what it sounds like." I stepped back. Not dramatically, not angrily, just far enough to breathe. In that moment, I realized the driver didn't stop my wedding. The truth did, and it had arrived exactly when it needed to. No one officially said the wedding was over. It simply stopped. The music never resumed. The pastor closed his book quietly. The decorator stood frozen, unsure whether to continue smiling or begin packing. My fiancé tried to speak again, but the room had already decided. Truth has a way of stealing authority from lies. I turned to my parents first. "I can't do this," I said softly. My mother nodded immediately. No questions, no arguments, just relief mixed with pain. My father placed a hand on my shoulder, steady, supportive, final. That was enough. I faced my fiancé one last time. "You are planning a future," I said calmly, "that didn't include honesty." He reached for excuses, confusion, misunderstanding, pressure, but none of it landed. Not after his own voice had betrayed him. The driver stood quietly to the side now, eyes lowered, like someone who had completed a task that would cost him something. I walked toward him. "Thank you," I said. He looked up, shocked. "Madam, I was just..." "You told the truth. That's not just anything." Security eventually escorted him out. Not roughly, not angrily, just away from the noise he had created by refusing to lie. The guests began to leave in clusters. Some hugged me, some avoided my eyes. Everyone had a version of the story already forming in their heads. But I didn't care, because for the first time that day, I felt light. The dress came off later that evening. The makeup washed away easily. What stayed was the knowledge that embarrassment fades, but a bad marriage doesn't. Weeks later, I paid the driver's outstanding school fees quietly, not as a reward, but as acknowledgement. Some people save you by telling the truth at the worst possible time. And sometimes, the person you thought worked for you is the one brave enough to stand up for you. That wedding never happened, and that was the greatest gift I received that day. If this story moved you, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It truly helps this channel grow. Final question. Do you think the driver did the right thing by speaking up, or should he have stayed silent? Tell me your thoughts and also let me know where you're watching from.